And then we go down, I'll just jump down to one more, John 4. Many of you are familiar with this famous story of what we call the woman at the well. Now, she'd had a rough past. Her life wasn't good. And he goes to her, and it's a fascinating story. If you ever want to learn how to win people to Jesus, take time and really read John chapter 4. It's a case study on how to do it. And he reached out to her, crossed the social protocols, crossed the social cultural boundaries of his day, read her mail, blew her mind. And then this is what happens. She goes back to the city, because the well was outside the village. Come see a man. Come see a man who told me all things that I ever did. Could this be the Christ? This woman who'd had 5 husbands, was living with a guy she wasn't married to, all of a sudden becomes an evangelist and a prophet in one day. Isn't that amazing? And she was so credible that everybody came and they heard Jesus that day. So really, guys, it's a whole lot easier than we think. All we got to do, if we have been affected by Jesus, how many of you have been affected by Jesus? How many of you have been impacted by Him? Those are the people that witness, not the people that have a sense of religious duty or guilt. Guilt doesn't take you very far. It takes you like 3 days. But if you've been affected by Jesus, there's something in you. You may not know how to, you may be afraid to, but you want to. The want to is there. I'm convinced of that. And if you've been affected or impacted or influenced or changed by Jesus, I want you to know it's really not hard. All you got to do is bring them to where He is. Just go that's what they did. They just brought their friends, the people they cared about, to where they could connect with Jesus. But that was 2,000 years ago. And so that brings us to a dilemma where they had the advantage. He was there on the earth. They could just bring him literally to Jesus. How many of you know if Jesus, let's say he was in Fort Worth and you had somebody you cared about, what kind of effort would you go to get your friend to Fort Worth? You do anything. You take the day off. You take a week off, right? So if we only had a place on the earth that Jesus was literally there in such a high level of presence that bringing them there would be like bringing them to Jesus. If only that were true today. Well, let's talk about that for a minute. In Ephesians 1, 22 and 23, this is what it says. And He, Jesus, put all things under His feet and gave Him to be the head over all things to the church, which is His body. The church is His body. That's not a figure of speech, by the way. That is real.